Question from Jacob comes in, can Jiu-Jitsu be too much? Can I be overdoing it? And the answer is simple, yes. I think jiu-jitsu is like anything else. There is such thing as too much. Unfortunately, despite the fact that we love jiu-jitsu, despite the fact that there's a lot of passion around it, it's really easy to get sucked into this positive side of jiu-jitsu. Overdoing jiu-jitsu is actually very, very, very possible and very common, especially at the beginning of our journey. And it's an unfortunate event. The good thing is that this plays over a longer period of time. So let's dig into this. Typically, what I've seen over the years is that the beginner students, the individuals who are just starting jiu-jitsu and they are really, really, really liking, they are putting a lot of times into jiu-jitsu, into being on the mat, and into everything that's associated with it, from watching the videos to training to sparring to drilling and so on. And at some point, we simply burn out. It becomes too much. And at that point, we take a break. But we don't take a break from a slowing down perspective. We take a drastic pause, drastic stop. And then returning from that stop, it's very, very difficult. This is actually something that we would even refer to a injury, something that we refer to as an injury, right? So when we get hurt, we pause, we are unable to train, we come back, but then coming back is extremely, extremely difficult. Mentally, we are ready to come back, but physically, often we are not. So anyway, going back to the original topic, can jiu-jitsu be too much? Absolutely. What I often tell my students who are starting, individuals who ask me that same question, online, I typically tell them, listen, twice a week on the mat is a minimum. This is where you have to invest. However, anything over 4 days a week on the mat might be too much. And there is no cookie cutter recipe here. We all have to evaluate this situation based on our circumstances, our life, our personality, our age, who we are, what we do, and how we do things. But typically, anytime over 4 times a week, I do see the pattern of students burning out and taking a break. And once the break is taken, it's difficult to come back. On the flip side of this, I've seen hundreds of times where students consistently train for 2 or 3 times a week, and they do this over a period of 5, 7, 10 years. I have examples of black belts or individuals who have achieved a level of black belt and a rank of black belt simply training 2, 3 times a week over a period of 8 to 10 years. And there was this consistency that was associated with their training. No matter what, they have never exceeded that. It's just like the data all adds up. So if you ask me, can you overtrain jiu-jitsu? 100% you can. Now, is that for everybody? No. Listen, I know some guys who train 6 times a week. They love it. They've been doing it for years, and life is good. However, there's this big point of acknowledgement that we all have to take under consideration. Jiu-jitsu takes time. Jiu-jitsu takes a long period, and with a goal, as we are all entering into jiu-jitsu environment and into jiu-jitsu study, we know that it's going to take us 5, 7, 10 years. So think about it for a moment. If you start jiu-jitsu in your 30s, by the time you achieve your black belt, you probably will be in 40s. And at that point, there's a lot of wear and tear. On my other podcast, on the Raw Radio, we had Zanji Ribeiro last year, and he said something that really, really impacted me and really sunk it in my mind, and I use it to this day as a point of reference. And he said, it's not the amount of time that gets us and pushes us out of jiu-jitsu, off the mat, is the wear and tear that we put on our body, is the mileage that we put on our bodies that really pushes us off the mat. So think about that for a moment. Taking that, in the context of this question coming from Jacob, right? If we train 7 days a week and we do it for 3 years, we're very likely to accumulate the same amount of mileage and same amount of wear and tear as we were doing training 3 times a week over 7 or 8 or even more years. So it's something to think about, right? Training a lot is not always a good thing. what I would suggest, train smart, not hard. Peace. Keep on training.